30th in the 2024 Men's World Ranking, dropping 2 places from the previous 28th position. The ranking, as released by the Federation of International Football Association, revealed that the Eagles topped the 2023 CAF Africa Cup of Nations winner, Cote d'Ivoire, and 7-time AFCON winner, Egypt. Having participated in 2 friendly matches after the AFCON tourney, the Eagles earned a 2-1 win against neighboring rivals Ghana and fell to a 2-0 defeat against Mali. As observed by newsmen, the Eagles ranked 3rd in African football, falling only behind the Atlas Lions of Morocco and the Teranga Lions of Senegal. Ranking first is 2022 World Cup winner Argentina, followed by the tourney's first runner-up France. In the 3rd position is Belgium, while the 3 Lions of England hold the 4th place, among others. We'll take another short break. When we come back, we'll bring you some entertainment news. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Biscon TV News. Now to entertainment news. Afrobeat sensation David Adeleke, also known as Davido, has expressed his joy at being a father of twins, describing it as the best feeling ever. The DMW boss shared his delight in a recent interview with newsmen, revealing that, contrary to expectations, raising the twins has been a joyful experience. Despite initial concerns from others about the challenges of raising twins, Davido revealed that his twins have brought immense joy to his life. He noted that they are blessed with calmness, rarely cries, and are growing rapidly. Davido also touched on his highly anticipated forthcoming album. He assured that the album is set to be released this year. Eniola Adal's debut cinema production Adakaju, Beast of Two Worlds, has grossed 101.2 million naira within 5 days of its release. Film One Entertainment disclosed this on its social media page today. According to Film One, the epic film was released nationwide on Friday, March 29, 2024, and is making all the waves in the cinemas nationwide, hitting 101.2 million naira at the box office in 5 days. Atakaju explores the plight of a king facing exile due to his wife's inability to conceive a male heir. To ensure the continuity of his dynasty, he marries a woman from another realm, leading to unforeseen turmoil and a battle for his legacy. Welcome back, and that's the news on Biscon TV, compiled and produced by Tomiloba Abalani. Before we go, a recap of the major points. On the national scene, EU and federal government collaborate to reduce environmental waste. Igboho sues Gani Adams for defamation, demands 500 million naira damages. In business news, federal government invests 48 million euros in Phase 2 energy support program. On the foreign scene, NATO marks 75th anniversary with warnings of renewed Russian threat. And in the world of sports, Nigeria wins world ranking. And that's the news, compiled and produced by Tommy Lover. Before we go, we'll leave you with this last line. Mae West said, "You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough." I'm Stella Opara. Thank you for staying with us.
and she went to the market. And the minute she opened her store, who were just coming to buy, who were just buying everything, even this shop was nearly sold on this day. And then on her way home, with so much money wrapped around her skirt, she looked at the Iroko tree. I remembered what she told the Iroko tree. She came round to the shop of the ram sellers and bought a white ram and tried it and tied it to the place of the Iroko tree. But Iroko, you promised Iroko, you must say what you have promised Iroko. Never you promised that Iroko anywhere in your life. As she was getting close to her house, her good trust was wildly
of Freedom Park, I warmly welcome you all to this extraordinary night of tribute dedicated to the legendary Jimmy Shulanke. It is an honor and privilege to stand before you tonight as we celebrate the remarkable life and career of a true man in the world of arts and culture. He was fondly known as the custodian of our cultural heritage, and was just not a man of immense talent, but also a beacon of wisdom, grace, and humility. His contributions to the Nigerian music theater and literacy scene are unparalleled, leaving an indelible mark on generations past, present, and undoubtedly those yet to come. He was he was full of wisdom, and his spoken words were generous. His soul-stirring performances and his unwavering commitment to preserving our cultural heritage have enriched the fabric of our society in ways beyond measure. Tonight, we gather not to mourn, but to celebrate a life overflowing with music, laughter, and the indomitable spirit of a true icon. He was not just an entertainer, he was a weaver of stories, a voice for a generation, and a cultural cornerstone that leaves an indelible mark. Ladies and gentlemen, you will all remember one or two things about him. Keep those things in your memories, and you will never forget Jimmy Shulanke. We pay homage to him. Let his voice resonate not only on the stages where he performed, but also in our hearts, as we all here have experienced his craft. I can go on, but let us have a pleasant night as I welcome you to this night of tribute for our own dear Babagba. In the foyer of the art gallery just behind you, you have an exhibition of his works. He was not just a weaver of stories, he was also an artist. And also, there's a table of books written by Olajumoke Sutton, titled Jimmy Shulanke, the Indestructible. They are for sale. Ikudoro Orun Laribo, Orun Bashebi Oja Malowere, Mbalola Romadelale, Baba Sunriu. Thank you all for coming.
Ajim Show, that's what I called him. and I had a very unusual but special relationship. I hear that there's a book on his life, his biography, written by somebody. If you check that book, you will not find a word or a line about Segun Odegbami in the book. But when my biography will be written very shortly, you would find a whole chapter that will be devoted to Jimmy Shulanke. It's a demonstration of the kind of relationship that I had with him. I didn't do anything for him, but he did so much for me. And I won't waste your time to take you through all the things that we did together. But not so many people have seen Jimmy Shulanke in the mornings. He's not a morning person. You see him in the afternoon, you see him at night, at events, at parties, and so on and so forth. And then in the wee hours, he will go out and take his gulda and all of that. And anytime he came to Lagos, very few people knew where he slept. One day, I decided I was going to take him to where he was going to stay that night in Lagos. And when we got there, it was in the morning at about 3 a.m. I decided that no, Ajimsho, you will not stay here anymore. I have a bachelor's pad where I stay by myself, and I want you to come and stay there. And he followed me, we went. And we got there, he loved the place. And since then, anytime he came to Lagos, in the wee hours, he would just appear there, or we would go there together, and we would spend the night. And I became one of the very few people who knew about Jimmy Shulanke in the mornings. And that's the core of my relationship with him. I am not an artist, I'm not a musician. So we had so little things to do together in that field. That's why you won't see my name in his book. But I tell you that he did a tour, a campaign around the southwest of Nigeria to all the villages, and the audiences were the villagers and their obas and so on. He was doing a campaign for some, whether it's Ford Foundation or something. And then I decided I wanted to go around with him. And we went around the southwest with him. I was covering all the dramatic expressions of his campaign. I was covering them. And everywhere it was different. It was a different setting, different story, different. They were talking to the women, to the children, and so on. It was fun. It was eye-opening for me. It got me into a mood such that when I now wrote my last book, having known Ajimsho so well for almost 40 years of our being together, when I wrote my last book, I now went and picked 2 chapters of that book, the first and the last. And I called Uncle Jimmy and I said, you see this first one, it's okay. I want you to help me read it. Others read parts of the book, Yinka Davis, Dejumo Lewis, and so many great readers. They all came and read. Ajimsho read the first chapter. When it came to the last chapter, it was a message to the world. And it is a message that resonates with what we are doing here tonight. I wish everybody would listen to that message. If you permit me, I can play 1 minute of it, just 1 minute, then I go to sleep. I go to sit, so that you would know the kind of relationship, truly, that I had with Jim Show. He was a simple man. He was a good man. He never quarreled with anybody. His ways were Spartan. He didn't like all the vanities of this world. Just the human being. And his legacies are that kindness, love, simplicity, and just good nature. When he saw this script, he decided that he was going to read it. And he read it himself. Just give me 1 more minute and I'll go and sit down, so that you can listen to what he wrote. what he read.
That's what you all are. This is another of my messages to you. Many of you have been wondering where I have been or why I allowed all the terrible events going on around you take place, particularly the recent events in America and Nigeria. It may shock you to know that I have been with you all the time. I have always been with you. It is you who never remembers. Most of you profess to know me, yet you do allow the worries and concerns of life, distractions all, to take you from me. You have also failed to recognize and receive several messages I have been sending you through messengers who are amongst you. So, here I am, sending you another one.
Thank you very much for listening to me. As usual, rest in perfect peace.
Thank you very much.
Our Uncle Jimmy Solankera that lived a very successful life. And what he has left behind, the shoes he has left behind, are going to be very difficult to fill. What we will miss most about Jimmy Solanke and his generation is persons who are devoted to the arts and have the kind of attitude to life that makes a country grow and prosper. If Uncle Jimmy had wanted to be commercially minded, he probably would have left this country close to 30 years ago and he'll be one big star abroad. But like the likes of him, Fela Kuti, and people like that, they were devoted to their country and their own people. And they set the examples for some of us here, so somebody like me. Those are the elders we looked forward to say that these are the things that we should do. Unfortunately, my own generation has failed. We can't say the same thing, and that is why you can see the general rot in the country. But I don't want to talk politics today, okay? I just want us to sit back, enjoy ourselves, remember what Jimmy Solanke meant to us. I was never close to him. In fact, the only time I wanted to interview him, for one reason or the other, he didn't show up. But occasionally, if I see him outside, he knew me and I knew him. And I would call him Uncle Sick. I don't know if you remembered that. Like I said, the lesson that we should learn from the life of Jimmy Solanke is devotion to your people and to your country. I don't know if that kind of sense can be revived in this country. Do you think it can? Do you think it can? Well, we try so hard to see, when I say we, some of us in this, some of us, in positions to influence, we try so hard to see if we can revive, at least even in our leaders, that devotion to country, devotion to society. These days is all about money, 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 money. And I repeat again, if the likes of Fela Kuti, Jimmy Solanke had been so inclined, most of the legacies they left behind would have been completely absent. May the soul of Jimmy Solanke rest in peace. Like they say in Yoruba, I don't know how I'm going to be able to translate that one in English. Biscon Tv is here. Come. I want you to translate Ojoajin Osirawon. But just in case, there's somebody who's from the east who doesn't understand Yoruba, so she'd understand. Where's Biscon Tv? Okay, don't let me waste time. Thank you very much, everybody. You're here? Okay. What is Ojoajin Osirawon?
Music Minds. I do this
On behalf of our trustees, Aremo Segun Oshoba, Mr. Dele Adetiba, Sister Taiwo Ajayi Lyset, Prince Yemisi Shilon, and of course, Professor Kunle Ahmed in Canada, Ashwaju Pupu Aguda. Who was Baba Agba? I will simply relate few days before his death. The Music Mind Group was one of the groups that he reached out to and made the point that the doctor had diagnosed him with lumbar, that's scoliosis, with pains on his chest. We were preparing to do a competition to bring out young talents across the country, and he so much wanted to be part of it. He sent me some money, asked if I saw the money. I said, yes, I saw the money. Unfortunately, on the day of the show, we were not able to see Baba Agba. Then on the 7th of December, he sent a note. Part of what he wrote, I'll paraphrase here. I was not able to come because after a series of tests, then he addressed me with my moniker, which is AK-47. AK-47, do you know who can send this pain away? I guess he was talking like a prophet that I think he was, a complete artist. Baba Agba, very innocent and very adaptable to the youths, of course that is known, and to the elderly. On a couple of occasions, he had invited me to his abode at Ife, and himself and his lovely wife, Yaudiri, Madame Toyin, treated me to a great bowl of amala and fresh fish. He had a way of blessing everybody, and I knelt, and he sent blessings to me. He was so sure he would have made this, but alas, that pain is gone, and is gone forever. And so, here, tribute from the Music Minds Group. Many spread across the globe. We are saying quite a number of us are also here that will miss Baba Agba, his guttural voice, the complete artist, the man of the moment, the man who straddled our drama space, startup space, like Colossus. And so this Colossus lives. Here goeth a meteor, whence cometh another. Bye, Baba Agba. Fare thee well, until we meet to part no more. God bless Baba Agba and his family. God bless all lovers of dramatic arts and Baba Agba himself. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, this is a farewell tribute to an icon of our heritage from the High Life All Stars Band. When the news of Jimmy Solanke got to High Life All Stars Club on February 5th, an odious Monday evening, it was unbelievable to absorb that Baba Agba, Jimmy Solanke, is no more. Jimmy Solanke was a film actor, a dramatist, a musician, visual artist, a mentor, and a prolific writer, a rigorous social commentator with a sharp pen and razor tongue, who spared no one in the unending contest of ideas, characters, and issues. Pa Jimmy Solanke was a fantastic person, an asset, enigmatic, patriotic, an epitome of talents and embodiments of the work of art. To hear Jimmy Sholanke sing or watch his Moonlight Story is to travel to Fantasyland. His voice was unique, sonorous, charming, and evocative. It was a shared delight having him on stage sing with his magnificent baritone voice at High Life All-Stars Club, the jams that we have at Freedom Park every first Sunday of the month. Jimmy Sholanke's passion, his passion for moral wellness, preserving and sharing African heritage through his artistry is equal to none. Baba Agba, as he was fondly called, has been a blessing in all ways. The nation has lost one of his brightest ethnomusicologists, poet, dramatist, actor, storyteller, and artist, a cheerful, charismatic, and humble man, endowed with remarkable abilities. Pa Jimmy Sholanke, your worthy legacies remain immortal. May God comfort your wife, your children, and all the loved ones you've left behind. May Pa Jimmy Sholanke's soul, through the mercy of God, find peace with his maker. Thank you.
Here to talk about Jimmy Sholanke, an icon, a legend, whom I have worked with for several years. I thank God that this man lived to over 80 years before he passed on. I, first of all, had experience of his voice in 1963 when I listened to Ejeka Jo. That was the period of twist in Nigeria, if you people remember. But in 1964, 65, you know, there was Mbari Mbayo in Ibadan, and we had Mbari Mbayo in Oshogbo. So I was part of the Oshogbo axis, and we used to interact. So, but my real encounter with Jimmy Sholanke was 1970, when we did Kongi's Harvest film. Oga Wale Soyinka came to University of Ife. We were University of Ife Theatre then, and there was University of Ibadan. Two universities only in Nigeria that were operating theatre arts. So he selected 7 of us from University of Ife. I was one of them. So when I got to Ibadan, I was in Obadanola's camp, and Jimmy Sholanke was there too. The way Jimmy Sholanke handled his role caught my fancy, and that was the beginning of my superb interaction with Jimmy Sholanke. Thank God in 1971, he was invited to come and play a role in Ovorawen Ogbaisi, written by Olarotimi. Because of our relationship in 1970, during Kongi's Harvest film, I was the closest person to him in Ife. And Jimmy, when acting on stage, he is a delight to work with and to watch on stage. Jimmy, I remember, because I was the one that carried the shield beside him in Ovorawen Ogbaisi, because he was playing Ovorawen Ogbaisi himself. One day I was watching him. A mosquito, was on him and was biting him. Do you know that Jimmy, the concentration, he couldn't touch that mosquito. That was Jimmy Sholanke for you in the theater. When he's acting, he's just too marvelous. The concentration of an actor that I've ever experienced in my life through Jimmy Sholanke. when we finished that play, we were invited to Benin to play Ovorawen Ogbaisi. The grandfather of the present Oba of Benin called us after the show to his palace, and he said, "This man that played the role, are you a descendant of Benin?" He said, "No, I'm from Ijebu, I'm from Ipara, then living in Ibadan, Ife." He said Jimmy looked exactly like his grandfather, Ovorawen Ogbaisi. So because of that, when Art Council was established in 1974 in Benin, Western State, and Midwestern State, Jimmy was the first one to head that Council of Art and Culture. In 1973, we wanted to do a national tour with a play called Kurumi. Akishofoluwe, who was playing Kurumi then, had left. Many people had left from Ife then, and Jimmy was the one to handle the role, Kurumi. So there was nobody to build the costume for us. Jimmy took it upon himself to build all the costumes for the play Kurumi. And he called me. He said, he called me Olu. He said, "Come, we need to build the costume." I said, "Yes, we need to build it. We will build it." And we started. All the Ijaye warrior, Ibadan warrior, and Egba warrior, all the costumes, including Kurumi's regalia and the Egungun regalia. Jimmy built this costume with me and him. After rehearsals, we will go to his flat at night. So Jimmy is not just an actor. Jimmy is a costumier. Jimmy is a dancer. Jimmy is everything that you need to talk in the art. I worked so closely to him. So in 1974, when we wanted to do Festival of Art in preparation for Festac, which was supposed to be 1975 anyway, Jimmy represented Midwestern State Art Council to Lagos here in a play called River something from Benin. And guess what? They won the first prize for Midwestern State, while I, Olu Okekoye, won the first prize for Western State. So our closeness was just too much. But this is Nigeria. When I got to US in 1980, I met Jimmy Solanke. Do you people know that Jimmy Solanke was the first person to start rap in the whole world? And Jimmy composed this song, "Away, away, 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 away." Omi lènìyàn, ọ̀nà là, ó já gbaragada, omi lènìyàn. That was the beginning of rap. And that was Jimmy Solanke for you. So when he invited me to California,
Thank you for joining us again on the News Hour on Biscon Television. I'm Stara Opala. We'll begin with our top stories. On the national scene, EU and federal government collaborate to reduce environmental waste. Igboho sues Gani Adams for defamation, demands 500 million naira damages. In business news, federal government invests 48 million euros in phase 2 energy support program. On the foreign scene, NATO marks 75th anniversary with warnings of renewed Russian threats. And in the world of sports, Nigeria ranks 30th in latest FIFA Men's World Ranking. Now, the news in full. The European Union has joined hands with the federal government to tackle environmental waste in the country. The EU noted that waste pollution does not only significantly threaten human well-being and economic prosperity, but also is part of the triple planetary crises of climate change, nature and biodiversity loss and pollution. Deputy Ambassador, European Union Delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Zisimus Vegas, said this during a program in Abuja to commemorate this year's International Zero Waste Day with the theme, Beat Waste. This is the first time that the day is being marked following its proclamation by the United Nations General Assembly last December. This year, the EU is joining the Federal Ministry of Environment, including other stakeholders around the globe, to mark the International Zero Waste Day in Nigeria. Now, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT, has suspended the chairman of the Kano State Public Complaint and Anti-Corruption Commission, PCACC, Mui Magaji, following allegations of misconduct and breaches of public officers' conduct. Magaji, who is facing charges ranging from alleged conflict of interest to false asset declaration and accepting bribes, was arraigned in Abuja today. The Code of Conduct Tribunal granted a motion for his suspension, directing him to step aside from his position pending the resolution of the case. The Kano State government had earlier dragged the federal government before the State High Court over what it described as harassment and intimidation of the PCACC chairman by the three federal agencies. This was a sequel to an invitation sent to the PCACC and its officials by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, and the Code of Conduct Bureau, respectively, to answer questions over the State Commission's administration from 2011 to date. However, in a statement, the spokesperson for the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Veronica Kato, confirmed Magaji's suspension by the CCT. Now, Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, has instituted a case of alleged defamation of character against the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, Gani Adams. Newsmen reported that Adams had recently, in a leaked audio conversation, alleged that Igboho is an assassin, allegedly being used by President Bola Tinubu for dirty jobs. He added that unconfirmed information linked him to the murder of a former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, late Bola Ige, who was killed by gunmen at his Bodija residence in Ibadan on December 23, 2001. In the suit before an Oyo State High Court sitting in Ibadan, Igboho is seeking an order compelling the defendant to pay 500 million naira as aggravated damages over the leaked audio conversation, which he claimed questions his reputation. In another story, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, has warned intending pilgrims against scammers who may request for payment of administrative charges from pilgrims aside the 1.9 million naira increase as earlier announced by the Commission. A statement signed by the Assistant Director of Public Affairs, NACON, Fatima Usara, stated that the Commission has warned intending pilgrims regarding payment of extra Hajj fares. It warned that anyone that makes such a request for payment of administrative charges on behalf of NACON is violating the role and responsibility of NACON as the Hajj regulatory body. The Hajj Regulatory Agency further urged intending pilgrims to strictly adhere to official announcements from NACON which are published on the website. The news hour is reaching you from Biscon Television. The news continues shortly. Welcome back. Now to business news. The federal government has invested 48 million euros for the second phase of its energy support program. The component lead, Enabling Environment, Nigerian Energy Support Program, NESP, Joshua Yari has said. Yari stated this at the one-day summit organized by Energy Commission of Nigeria in collaboration with Album Trust Nigeria Limited in Abuja, with the theme, Prospects of Energy Transition Plan. He noted that the project is co-funded by the European Union of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, adding that the Nigerian government is also at the NESP to put almost about 19 million euros to support its government for the third phase. He added that the World Bank with the Nigerian Electrification Program is bringing in $750 million to support the Nigerian government in terms of integration of renewable energy and energy efficiency, particularly in the rural areas. Speaking further, he said the energy transition plan had 5 focal areas, and one of them was to create an enabling environment to support and foster investments within Nigeria. We'll take a break now. While Kama will bring you foreign news. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Biscon TV News. Now to foreign news. NATO's foreign ministers have celebrated the alliance's 75th anniversary to warnings that Moscow was as great a threat as ever and concerned over stored US aid for Ukraine in its war against Russia. NATO's biggest battles to fight are still in the future, and Union have to be ready for them. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Gabrielius Landsbergis told reporters at NATO headquarters in Brussels, where a ceremony with birthday cake and marching bands could not mask the somber mood. Meanwhile, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, who met his NATO counterparts there, urged the 32 member states to provide his country with new additional air defense systems, especially US-made Patriot missiles. Kuleba said the NATO ministers had agreed to identify and find air defense systems in their arsenals to send to Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the United States, where an aid package for Ukraine worth some $60 billion is blocked in Congress, needed its allies more than ever for the conflict that started with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, now in its 3rd year. You're still watching Biscon TV News. Still to come is sports news. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now to the world of sports. The Super Eagles of Nigeria ranked 30th in the 2024 Men's World Ranking, dropping 2 places from the previous 28th position. The ranking, as released by the Federation of International Football Association, revealed that the Eagles topped the 2023 CAF Africa Cup of Nations winner, Cote d'Ivoire, and 7-time AFCON winner, Egypt. Having participated in 2 friendly matches after the AFCON tourney, the Eagles earned a 2-1 win against neighboring rivals Ghana and fell to a 2-0 defeat against Mali. As observed by newsmen, the Eagles ranked 3rd in African football, falling only behind the Atlas Lions of Morocco and the Teranga Lions of Senegal. Ranking first is 2022 World Cup winner Argentina, followed by the Chinese first runner-up France. In the third position is Belgium, while the Three Lions of England hold the fourth place, among others. We'll take another short break. When we come back, we'll bring you some entertainment news. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Biscon TV News. Now to entertainment news. Afrobeat sensation David Adeleke, also known as Davido, has expressed his joy at being a father of twins, describing it as the best feeling ever. The DMW boss shared his delight in a recent interview with newsmen, revealing that, contrary to expectations, raising the twins has been a joyful experience. Despite initial concerns from others about the challenges of raising twins, Davido revealed that his twins have brought immense joy to his life. He noted that they are blessed with calmness, rarely cries, and are growing rapidly. Davido also touched on his highly anticipated forthcoming album. He assured that the album is set to be released this year. Eniola Ajao's debut cinema production Adakaju, Beast of Two Worlds, has grossed 101.2 million naira within 5 days of its release. Film One Entertainment disclosed this on its social media page today. According to Film One, the epic film was released nationwide on Friday, March 29, 2024, and is making all the waves in the cinemas nationwide, hitting 101.2 million naira at the box office in 5 days. Adakaju explores the plight of a king facing exile due to his wife's inability to conceive a male heir. To ensure the continuity of his dynasty, he marries a woman from another realm, leading to unforeseen turmoil and a battle for his legacy. Welcome back, and that's the news on Biscon TV, compiled and produced by Tomiloba Abalani. Before we go, a recap of the major points. On the national scene, EU and federal government collaborate to reduce environmental waste. Igboho sues Gani Adams for defamation, demands 500 million naira damages. In business news, federal government invests 48 million euros in Phase 2 energy support program. On the foreign scene, NATO marks 75th anniversary with warnings of renewed Russian threat. And in the world of sports, Nigeria ranks 30th in latest FIFA Men's World Ranking. And that's the news, compiled and produced by Tommy Loba. Before we go, we'll leave you with this last line. Mae West said, "You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough." I'm Stella Opara. Thank you for staying with us.
Around Los Angeles, California, and I was the director and choreographer for the. Jimmy writes all the scripts and played with his box guitar. Many people never knew that Jimmy plays guitar too, and many people never knew Jimmy as a dancer. It was during that period that Michael Jackson and the rest of them saw our dances with Peter Badejo, also another great Nigerian choreographer, and Peter Abilogo. We did Bata dance, and that is where the break dance started from. That is Jimmy Sholanke for you. So we did a show round the whole California, about 200 shows. And Jimmy was in charge. Jimmy was in charge. He wrote all the scripts, sang all the songs, composed many songs. And story, you know, is a great folklore that I've ever met in my life. I worked closely with him. Then everybody say Baba Agba, Baba Agba. You didn't know how Baba Agba came to be. Jimmy Solanke composed a song for a play that we did in Ife in 1973. Purakapali. Tapara, tapara, ẹ̀rù ló ń bà mí, nítorí Purakapali ọkọ mi, kò jẹ́ dúró nílé o, kó fara mọ́ mi, jojúmọ́ jojúmọ́, kó dẹ́dùn kó dẹ̀gbẹ́. Tapara, tapara, ó wù mí lọ́kùnrin, bó ṣe nú ihò wa kan, máa bá ẹ lọ. He composed the song, but many years later, when we got to America, and he changed it to Baba Agba, ẹ̀rù ló ń bà mí, nítorí ọmọ kékeré kan tó fẹ́ ṣọkọ mi. And I said, Jimmy Show, you don't change this thing, no? He said, yes. That is the man. He's a great creator of music, the great composer I've ever met in my life. Jimmy is just everything. His music can mean anything to you. It depends on the way you want to perceive it. That is Jimmy Solanke. He's a bundle of talent. He's someone that you cannot, just gag him. When it comes to composition and creativity, that is Jimmy Solanke for you. God gave it to him, and he applied it to the best of his knowledge. That is why I can never forget Jimmy Solanke. And I pray, and I'm asking everybody in this house, please, this is somebody that we need to do something in his name. It is a legacy that we must keep. There must be something for him in this country, in the world of art. We lost Jimmy Solanke, but we love him. But Jimmy has done so much for the art. But Jimmy, you just know him as a performer. He's an artist as well. He's a craftsman. He can design costumes. He can choreograph. You people, Lagosians, you can remember Batani Shangonjo during Batakoto era. You know Jimmy dances very well. For those of us who are so close to him, we know that he dances. But I have a brother in the house there. Professor Duroni knows that Jimmy also is a dancer. So, ladies and gentlemen, I pray you to those who belong and who can get to the government, something must be done for Jimmy Solanke to remember him forever and ever. Thank you very much.
The youngest of all the people giving tribute tonight. Yes, because I met Uncle Jimmy very early in my own life, and maybe midway in his own age. And that was in 1985. I was a dancer with the Lagos State Council for Arts and Culture. And then at that time as well, I was also handling art and design for the Lagos Art Council. And having toured Nigeria with the performance of Ori, a dance musical written by Fumi Odusholu, we traveled Nigeria, then traveled to the US and back. When I had this special performance titled Ajoji, and what the director of the Art Council at that time told us, that's Wenga Shonuga, Kabiyesi now, was that
we should handle that production as if that is the last production we are going to have. So everybody got serious. The play was being directed by Yomi Fawole, who is late now. Then we started rehearsals. Our rehearsals were very, very intense. Then, in the course of rehearsals, all of a sudden, this tall man just walked into the hall. Even before the director could say, freeze, everybody was already frozen. Because it was only on television that many of us have been seeing Uncle Jimmy. So it's like a masquerade coming out of Igbale into a performance arena. So Yomi Fawole now introduced him properly to us. And of course, all of us were shaking. We lost our cool completely, even in the course of rehearsals. And the most wonderful thing that Uncle Jimmy did that day was that he took over the rehearsal. I'm sure with the permission of Yomi Fawole, I don't know, because they just whispered to each other and he took over. I must say that I felt so delighted to have been directed by an ancestor. Yeah. And it was the same feeling with all other, performance and rehearsal. On the day of the performance was held at a museum kitchen. We didn't know that the performance was actually for the then military governor of Lagos State, Aibe. He was a mufti, so we didn't even know him. We did our own thing, fantastic performance, and then, of course, all of us left. About the same time, I gained admission to Ibadan Poly. And I was looking for money, so I'd already left the Art Council trying to prepare myself to go to school. Then, of course, somehow, I don't know what pushed me back to the Art Council, and they said they've been looking for me. And I said, what happened? In that performance, I played the lead role, Ajoji. They now say we needed to, at that time, the Lagos State government used to run what they call Lagos State Awards Night at the State House every year. So they said the governor himself had requested for the performance of Ajoji. And they've been rehearsing it. The guy who was playing the lead wasn't getting it. And so no inspiration for other members of cast. Now, the reason I came back was because I was looking for money. My school fees was 280 naira, which I couldn't raise. It's easy to say how, because 280 at that time was a lot of money. So when I did the first run of the rehearsals, they said I should come and discuss how much I wanted to collect. And I told them, pay me 500 naira. Eventually, I got 400. And that was how I was able to go back to school. Now, the beauty of this story is that it was Uncle Jimmy who gave us the inspiration to have done such a fantastic performance for the governor of Lagos State, which led to the recall of the same performance. When in later years, I gained admission to Ife to study fine arts, I ran into Uncle Jimmy again, and it was such another pleasant moment with him. He would just stroll into our department and just shout my name, Mufu, and then, or at times, some of my friends would just tell me, Mufu, Babagba is coming, Babagba is coming. So I have to sneak out of the studio to go and see him. And we kept having discussion on his visual arts projects, which I told him, has elements of the masquerade, the Yoruba masquerade. And I told him that he derived those visual elements from himself, because he himself is a masquerade. And for you to know, when you listen to him speak, you know that this is a masquerade speaking. I pray that some of the beautiful things that Uncle Jimmy did while alive, that many of us should be able to do that and more. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening or afternoon, whenever this event is taking place. I planned to read from a biography of Jimmy Sholanka, but I changed my mind. I will just direct you to it. The reason is very simple. The episode which is described in this section, oh, here's the book, by the way, let me, you must have got a copy by now, get hold of it. And the episode which is captured in the chapter called Outside the Nest, Horizon Theatre, especially towards the end. It's a very small chapter, pages 3, if I can be properly, to 115. Anyway, for me, it captures the quintessential Jimmy Sholanke, and why I just designated him, which I do very rarely, Omawu. Everything is explained in this. Jimmy was a very exasperating artist, most exasperating, sometimes even insufferable. Well, I can tell you this, for instance. As recently as last year, I had made up my mind that the next time I saw Jimmy, I would give him a punch in the solar plexus, just so as to wind him a bit and remind him of the kind of assignments I'd given him before, which he would execute faithfully to the letter, and ask him, Jimmy, why is it that you cannot be consistent and do the same thing for other people with the same kind of dedication and so on? And in this particular instance, last year, the person I called the landlord of Broad Street prisons, revitalized and reinstated to humane uses, will tell you about it. We call him Chief Jailer of Freedom Park and his assistant. They'll tell you what happened. But that was Jimmy all over. And in the end, you could abandon Jimmy for as long as you like. Sooner or later, the real Jimmy would show up, both physically and in terms of commitment, performance. In this particular instance, I'd already assessed Jimmy. And when it came to selecting somebody I could absolutely depend upon for a rather unusual commitment I was about to make, it for me was a defining moment for my existence, of my sense of commitment, of belief, of conviction. It was Jimmy I selected, and the reasons were justified by his conduct in that assignment. I will not read it for the simple reason that I was acquitted of all charges, and I'm not about to have somebody having me put on trial again on the evidence of Jimmy. No. All I can say is that it was a truthful account of his participation in what was a very complex operation. And I had to have somebody who was not implicated in the overall picture, but who could be depended upon just to carry out his instructions to the letter. And he did, well, almost. I will not say I will not reveal the detail that was missing, but then that detail, which was not exactly carried out, was typical of Jimmy. In other words, he performed over and above the call of duty, outside even the instructions he was given. And there was nothing after that day that Jimmy could do to annoy me in any permanent way. I might want to punch him, punch some sense into his head, but Jimmy was always welcome back, almost as a part of myself. And so I want to say hello to all of you. Thank you for gathering for this occasion. But a remarkable, very most unique individual, talented, creative in his own unique way, stubborn and persistent in what he believed in, capable of even taking risks over issues about which he felt committed generally, but details of which he even knew nothing. That's Jimmy. And that's where I'll always remember him. Thank you.
God is good, and He has been so good in all the things I have been doing. For instance, I was singing in the elementary school. True, I never won any prizes in arithmetic. We used to call it an algebra and other things. I won prizes in English language and literature and all sorts of things. I never won any, but when it came to acting during parents and teachers' end of the year activities, I won prizes. I won laurels. Maybe that's where the packaging of me becoming an artist started from. And true, they say, how can you be an actor? And how can you be a singer? How can you be everything I am noted for doing now were all things that through thick and thin were practiced, were rehearsed, were apprenticed through some mentors and all that. Look, if you open yourself to the arts, every aspect of the arts will be your top limit experiences. Yes, if you want to sing, if you face it seriously, you will be able to sing. And if you study very well, you will sing from opera to folk. You will sing from jazz to akpala. Because you will study it, you will understand the rudiments of each aspect of the music in jazz, in rock, in highlife, in Afrobeat, it is your mindset that is just the foundation of this. If your mindset is ready to acquire, to imbibe, to experience, there is no stopping you, nothing stopping you. When I was younger, I just loved singing. I loved composing songs to a point that a lot of bands I used to compose for them. That's when I didn't have the opportunity to sing. But when I had the freedom to sing, I started singing. I started inching into, I hope nobody from my family is here. I take the mic and sing and I enjoyed it until I was free, to be a band's member. Because in those days when you become a member of a band, you are ọmọ kọ́tà, ọmọ tí wọn kì í sunlé, àwọn ọmọ tí wọn gẹ̀ẹ́tì ẹ̀yẹ, àwọn ọmọ jagunjagun. Can you understand what I'm saying? And this brought a lot of problems between my dad and I. But look at it. Apart from this expand of land that I retired into, he gave me this and gave me 7-point-something hectares. Because at the end of his life, he found out that he was wrong for having harassed me for not singing.
My favorite songs of Uncle Jimmy. There are so many songs because they are deep songs, thoughtful songs, and evergreen songs. I remember he gave me a file. It wasn't really a file, the cardboard of a collection of his records. I can't remember. I still have it in my archive. I can't remember who actually released that record, which record label. And we did a recording of Mo Losoko. He didn't record that, but whilst I was studying the Nigerian high life, I wrote something about popular music in my undergraduate days, and I stumbled on Lagos bands. And I was surprised that a secondary school boy who composed a song and record it with an international band, Roy Chicago's band, that Alaba Pedro played in. And that song, Onile Gogoro, or Mari, and Uncle Jimmy sings it still tomorrow. And it doesn't matter the key you put it, he will still give you that bass voice. I remember Pao Oyeshiku, I remember Uncle Jimmy, I remember the depth of the voice. And even Uncle Jimmy controls the tempo. And I'm in charge, band, follow me. So that command, I like the story behind songs to really inspire me. So when I got to know that it was a secondary school boy that wrote that song, because in his secondary school days, he sat in severally with Roy Chicago's band, and that was what most of those bands were. EC-oriented band too had the same structure. That was what discovered Victor Uwaifu as a schoolboy. So for me, it was something great. So Uncle Jimmy has been way back. So I hope the legacy will be kept as Europeans are doing. Nigerians are beginning to do that, but we need to do more of it. While they are alive, even people that have died, we can still go back into Africa, because we're losing this heritage, we're losing these stories.
Getting voices out there, especially those that you can see Uncle Jimmy's influence on, people like Shagwa Defila, people like Adalto. You see that instinct of storytelling come on to Uncle Jimmy, but what really makes them clearly showcase his influence is not the storytelling. It's the understanding of the context of the storytelling. It's the understanding of the world, the world of Africa, the cultural world, the fact that these guys like Uncle Jimmy embrace the totality of who they are. They're not telling stories that would make them, in the ways that make them acceptable to foreign countries or to grant bodies. They are authentic. in the manner of their craft, because they embrace their cultural identity. And I think if you ask me, that's one of the greatest signposts of the influence of Uncle Jimmy Solanke, is that whilst being a global world-class artist and performer, the stories and the context and the characters of the stories are relatable to the context, the country, the culture in which he has grown. And I think that's very critical, because ultimately, the only thing that makes us original as artists is to be able to channel our own heritage, to channel our own culture, to channel our own worldview, and to deliver it with a quality that is global. And that, in my opinion, is one of the biggest legacies of Uncle Jimmy.
People know Jimmy as the prolific performer, the engaging storyteller, the man who does it all.
I met him as an actor, even though he's into music, a lot of music now. As a child, growing up, Uncle Jimmy Solanke was that figure that kept us almost all the children that I know, enraptured with the storytelling.
It's always amazing. Anytime this man creates something, anytime he shows bits of himself that you naturally maybe not know from meeting him first, and it is just a very brilliant and amazing man.
Uncle Jimmy is a fantastic, beautiful art, an unblemished artist.
And then he's a celebrity, but he doesn't feel like a celebrity. He's the most human, the most natural, normal person you would ever meet.
Very hard-working man. In fact, I call him workaholic sometimes, because he does not rest, he does not sit down when he has any work at hand. He's always very, very interested in working.
When I want to walk into the stage, when I'm there and I want to perform, I like to walk into the stage and, I look at him like, this man is very fragile, I don't let him grab it. But the moment he grabs the mic and he starts singing, you will not but pray for that kind of energy. That even if you are opportune to go as old as that, the universe should bless one with such an energy with which Uncle Jimmy performs with.
If Uncle Jimmy tells a story, he tells it in a way that only he can tell it. You know the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story, but hearing it from the craftsman, the real storyteller, you just want to listen to it again. You just want to hear the story again, because he has a way of visualizing that story. So he's got the retention of that ancestral, heritage, that storytelling style that gives birth to other forms of art. When you experience something and you want to see it, because the storyteller is, like I said earlier on, is a virtuoso performer, because you become all the characters, including animals and human beings, that are in your story. And that's what Uncle Jimmy does to you. He goes, and the tortoise was like, and he went like that, and he plucked the fruit.
Jimmy, as a father, if you all his children, you can tell that first and foremost there's an importance in education, understanding, knowing, learning, and always appreciating that you are only as good as the last thing you did. You can be better. Every day be better.
I see my dad most times at his table in the middle of the night. Or in the morning, he's cutting paper. Before I understood what he was doing, he was actually making art. He cuts papers out of newspaper. He cuts pictures out of newspapers.
He has some angelic songs that when you listen to them, you'll be transported out of this world.
Baba himself. Baba came to the art factory, our own space in Bariga. I was like, I've arrived, you know. And when he came in, they shot one of his songs with us, you know, where Baba had to dance with us, you know. I mean, I was going to come and dance with him, and just Baba and I alone dancing, and you could feel the greatness of his presence. Because you could feel not just the raw talent oozing out of this very agile body of an 18-year-old man with the soul of an 18-year-old child. You know, he had the agility, everything.
I will sing for you, Jimmy, even though you always say I don't know how to sing. Yes, I'm not a professional singer, but I will sing for you. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Baba ga o, Baba ga ni o, Baba ga lamba jáde o, Baba ga ni. Baba ga o, Baba ga wa o, Baba ga lamba ṣeré o, Baba ga ni. Yes, Baba, with so much respect, oh, to prove that we love you dearly. Enjoy this encomium. You are the mirror, you are daddy, daddy, oh, daddy, oh. Baba ga o, Baba ga ni o, Baba ga lamba jáde o, Baba ga ni. Baba ga o, Baba ga wa o, Baba ga lamba ṣeré o, Baba ga ni. Ìwọ bẹ́ẹ̀ni ṣe, bẹ́ẹ̀ ló bára ṣe. Ìwọ bọ́rẹ̀ ṣe o, bẹ́ẹ̀ ló bọ́ta ṣe. Ayé ò mà lè bínú rẹ̀ o, tóró ìwà àṣàyè rẹ̀ o. Ayé ò mà lè bínú rẹ̀ o, tóró ìwà àṣàyè ṣe. I can never forget all you did in my life, Daddy. Daddy, wherever I am, in whatever I do, yes, I must give kudos to you now forever. Ìgbà ò wá lọ, ojú ń bọ̀ wá ro wá o. Ìgbà ò wá lọ, ojú ń bọ̀ wá ro wá o. Labalábá fara kan mi, ìwà rẹ̀ dára o. Ìwà rẹ̀ dára nílé ìwọ ọmọ wa kí mi o. Ìlà èrè ní ìṣàsùn àìlẹ́ràn òwe. Ìgbà ò bá lọ, ojú ń bọ̀ wá ro wá o. When I was a child, Daddy, you took good care of me. Yeah. Now it's my turn, Daddy, Daddy, to treat you nicely and touch you well. Rẹpẹtẹ plenty. Baba ga o, Baba ga ni o, Baba ga lamba jáde o, Baba ga ni. Baba ga o, Baba ga wa o, Baba ga lamba ṣeré o, Baba ga ni. Oya mú mi jó, mú mi jó. Oya bá mi jó, bá mi jó. Baba ga jó, bá mi jó. Baba ga jó ijó wa o, bá mi jó. Oya bá wa jó, baba ga o, bá mi jó. Oya bá wa mi
his demise is that this man never really died. He never really died, and still he gave us a very, very, very huge boot to filling. All 8, 7 of us, or 9, 10 of us kids that we know ourselves. And it's really, 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 really important that where it is now, it goes on, and it goes on really well. So I'll continue from where he stopped off. He's a creator, and like he said in one of the short videos that we saw, he said he doesn't know anything about maths, he doesn't know anything about science, but put him and give him a paper and a pencil, the world is gonna come out of that. And so where he took himself from in his journey and his visions and things that he decided to do and things that he just came up with out of nowhere has brought him this far with the place we call the Buduasha now. You know, he's so vibrant and so dynamic that we had about 5 different names for this place even before he came up with that Ibuduasha, because Ibuduasha just came out of we want to set up something. So sometimes I ask him, this stuff, how do we get it registered? How do we get it official? Let it have a face, let it have a name and stuff. And then he says that this is what I want to call it. And I say, for example, one he called the Center for Creative and Performing Arts and Enhancement. And I said, that's too long, sir. Let's find something catchy. He said, leave me alone. Leave me alone, just go and do that and come back. I never could do that. I never could come up with something that would encapsulate what his vision was. And so one day we were just in the house and he was like, I think I found it too. I said, okay, because I was the one initially talking to the person that was doing the CAC documentation and all that. And then said, I think I've gotten it too. It's just Ibuduasha. I was like, okay, I think that works. Ibuduasha, and that's where he sat down for the past 4 years to actually to bring to life his lifelong dream, because he's had this at the back of his mind for nearly over 40 years, even before I was born. He's always been saying it. I think I saw him write up in a paper in 1970 something or so, saying that he wants to create a place where people can come and learn about the arts and culture, have fun, and just understand what we are as a people, as a culture. And so it's something that he has always wanted to do. And the economics of things that he didn't understand or didn't know how to do, and he being somebody that's very strong-headed, like, this is why I want to do it, this is how I want to do it. You know, you can't really convince him to change his mind, because he sees things, and sometimes you think like he's talking and you're saying, this guy, you're talking about the future. And most of the time, what he says comes to pass. He just materializes. So I give him that, and I want to use this medium and this opportunity to let everybody know that Ibuduasha has been alive, and it's been functioning, actually. We've had a series of camps and retreats for school children during their holidays, and they come and they learn dances, they learn, they do dramas, and there is actually a group of young children that are doing all the stuff, the arts, the music, and everything. So it's something that has started, and we will just move on from here and make sure the picture that he painted in our hearts is what it eventually turns out to be. And also, I would also use this opportunity to let you know that the book that Prof was talking about is available for sale. It's right behind us. If anybody is interested, just walk right back and get a copy, get 2, get 4, get 5, get 10 if possible. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for joining us again on the News Hour on Biscon Television. I'm Stella Opala. We'll begin with our top stories. On the national scene, EU and federal government collaborate to reduce environmental waste. Igboho sues Gani Adams for defamation, demands 500 million naira damages. In business news, federal government invests 48 million euros in phase 2 energy support program. On the foreign scene, NATO marks 75th anniversary with warnings of renewed Russian threats. And in the world of sports, Nigeria ranks 30th in latest FIFA Men's World Ranking. Now, the news in full. The European Union has joined hands with the federal government to tackle environmental waste in the country. The EU noted that waste pollution does not only significantly threaten human well-being and economic prosperity, but also is part of the triple planetary crises of climate change, nature and biodiversity loss and pollution. Deputy Ambassador, European Union Delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Zisimus Vegas, said this during a program in Abuja to commemorate this year's International Zero Waste Day with the theme, Beat Waste. This is the first time that the day is being marked following its proclamation by the United Nations General Assembly last December. This year, the EU is joining the Federal Ministry of Environment, including other stakeholders around the globe, to mark the International Zero Waste Day in Nigeria. Now, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT, has suspended the chairman of the Kano State Public Complaint and Anti-Corruption Commission, PCACC, Mui Magaji, following allegations of misconduct and breaches of public officers' conduct. Magaji, who is facing charges ranging from alleged conflict of interest to forced asset declaration and accepting bribes, was arraigned in Abuja today. The Code of Conduct Tribunal granted a motion for his suspension, directing him to step aside from his position pending the resolution of the case. The Kano State government had earlier dragged the federal government before the State High Court over what it described as harassment and intimidation of the PCACC chairman by the three federal agencies. This was a sequel to an invitation sent to the PCACC and its officials by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, and the Code of Conduct Bureau, respectively, to answer questions over the State Commission's administration from 2011 to date. However, in a statement, the spokesperson for the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Veronica Kato, confirmed Magaji's suspension by the CCT. Now, Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, has instituted a case of alleged defamation of character against the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, Gani Adams. Newsmen reported that Adams had recently, in a leaked audio conversation, alleged that Igboho is an assassin, allegedly being used by President Bola Tinubu for dirty jobs. He added that unconfirmed information linked him to the murder of a former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, late Bola Ige, who was killed by gunmen at his Bodija residence in Ibadan on December 23, 2001. In the suit before an Oyo State High Court sitting in Ibadan, Igboho is seeking an order compelling the defendant to pay 500 million naira as aggravated damages over the leaked audio conversation, which he claimed questions his reputation. In another story, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, has warned intending pilgrims against scammers who may request for payment of administrative charges from pilgrims aside the 1.9 million naira increase as earlier announced by the Commission. A statement signed by the Assistant Director of Public Affairs, NACON, Fatima Usara, stated that the Commission has warned intending pilgrims regarding payment of extra hard fares. It warned that anyone that makes such a request for payment of administrative charges on behalf of NACON is violating the role and responsibility of NACON as the Hajj regulatory body. The Hajj Regulatory Agency further urged intending pilgrims to strictly adhere to official announcements from NACON, which are published on the website. The News Hour is reaching you from Biscon Television. The news continues shortly. Welcome back. Now to business news. The federal government has invested 48 million euros for the second phase of its energy support program. The component lead, Enabling Environment, Nigerian Energy Support Program, NESP, Joshua Yari has said. Yari stated this at the one-day summit organized by Energy Commission of Nigeria in collaboration with Urban Trust Nigeria Limited in Abuja, in the rural areas. Speaking further, they said the energy transition plan had 5 focal areas, and one of them was to create an enabling environment to support and foster investments within Nigeria. We'll take a break now. While Kama will bring you foreign news. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Biscon TV News. Now to foreign news. NATO's foreign ministers have celebrated the alliance's 75th anniversary to warnings that Moscow was as great a threat as ever and concerned over stored U.S. aid for Ukraine in its war against Russia. NATO's biggest battles to fight are still in the future, and Union have to be ready for them. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Gabrielius Landsbergis told reporters at NATO headquarters in Brussels, where a ceremony with birthday cake and marching bands could not mask the somber mood. Meanwhile, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, who met his NATO counterparts there, urged the 32 member states to provide his country with new additional air defense systems, especially US-made Patriot missiles. Kuleba said the NATO ministers had agreed to identify and find air defense systems in their arsenals to send to Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the United States, where an aid package for Ukraine worth some $60 billion is blocked in Congress, needed its allies more than ever for the conflict that started with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, now in its 3rd year. You're still watching Biscon TV News. Still to come is sports news. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now to the world of sports. The Super Eagles of Nigeria ranked 30th in the 2024 Men's World Ranking, dropping 2 places from the previous 28th position. The ranking, as released by the Federation of International Football Association, revealed that the Eagles topped the 2023 CAF Africa Cup of Nations winner, Cote d'Ivoire, and 7-time AFCON winner, Egypt. Having participated in 2 friendly matches after the AFCON tourney, the Eagles earned a 2-1 win against neighboring rivals Ghana and fell to a 2-0 defeat against Mali. As observed by newsmen, the Eagles ranked 3rd in African football, falling only behind the Atlas Lions of Morocco and the Teranga Lions of Senegal. Ranking 1st is 2022 World Cup winner Argentina, followed by the tourney's first runner-up France.